I have a bone to pick today with the secular, with the mundane, with the unspiritual approaches to addiction here in this realm of reality. I have a bone to pick with NA and AA, indoctrination. And there's a specific frequency I want to bring up in this video. And that frequency is very important to this topic. It is the substructure of this topic, and that is 27 frequency. When humanity attempts to approach addiction in a way that is separate from true spirituality, it's quite uncomfortable and strange for those of us who are mystics, for those of us who are spiritualists, for those of us who are metaphysicians, for those of us who are psychics, for those of us who are enlightened, for those of us who can see. Seers, those with spiritual sight. And the reason why it's so uncomfortable and it's so clear is because of, in particular, I can only speak for myself, my ability to see when a soul is sick, when a soul's light is off. Okay, now this is important to understand because I worked in the addiction community, in the addiction industry for years. And for years I had to bite my tongue because my truth, because the spiritual truth made others uncomfortable, upset what they were being fed, opposed their doctrine and the indoctrination of beings around me, beings I cared about. Okay, so this is important to understand because people are dying every day, right? And there's no such thing as death, just a change of worlds. But when I say dying, I mean leaving this physical experience in this physical plane and transitioning to the spiritual world far before is necessary, timeline-wise, because of this realm of reality's inability to treat them properly. Engaging with people in NA and AA communities was always very interesting to me because despite clean time, it was very rare that I encountered a being in those circles whose light, soul light, was actually on. And I mean that. Clean time had absolutely nothing to do with it. 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. There is such a palpable expression of an absence of internal light, and yet a place of mental superiority because of the amount of clean time, that it was very strange for me to experience. But this is the reality of it. Because in those circles, right, the goal is clean time. The goal is complete abstinence, right? Regardless of the soul state, that's not even paid attention to, that's not even understood or discussed or recognized, okay? And I remember literally attempting to bring, to the forefront a deeper understanding of the needs of inner work, inner child work, ego work, shadow work, and I was shut down at every turn because it wasn't evidence-based, okay? When we speak of 27 frequency, the foundation of that frequency is 2, which is the number of the inner child, which is the number of the soul's light. But it's also the number of inner child harm or soul sickness. When you pair it with 7, you are talking about an addiction connected to said harm. And in most cases, this harm, this internal pain and turmoil, and absence of light and lack of life force flow, essentially source vitality is absent in these vessels. This discomfort, this pain, this inner turmoil and absence of light contributes to continued addiction. And in many of these situations, these beings end up passing on to the spiritual realm as the result of this addiction that is caused by this soul sickness. So for someone like me to sit here and see these groups not tending to the true issue, it made me very, very, very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. And I desperately tried to express myself, and I was just shut down at every turn, right? That's the status quo. Because when you pair that unhealthy soul, that wounded soul, with what I'm going to bring up next, it's a recipe for disaster. In those rooms, in NA and AA rooms, I used to cringe walking through those spaces. So I'd stay in my office and I'd close the door until they left. You hear for about an hour straight people calling themselves addicts. Literally. And not just that, but it was literally phrased as an I am statement. Now, if you are someone that is spiritual in any regard, if you're tapped into any form of spirituality, I'm sure you have already learned about the benefit of positive I am statements as far as manifesting your reality and your state of being energetically. Now, the thought process here is that it may not manifest immediately in your external realm of reality, but the thought process here is you are implanting into your subconscious mind a spell, essentially. It is spell implantation, energetically speaking, in the deepest recesses of your mind. So that's why, regardless of your current reality, you are never meant or supposed to say anything that is negative following the phrase I am. So when I would walk through these rooms and I would hear, I'm not even going to say it, but you know where I'm going with this if you've heard about these groups. I am a this. I am a that. And it was something negative. So every time you go in these rooms, every time you speak, you are supposed to precede whatever you're about to say with that statement. What? But you're supposed to be trying to heal these people? Because my love, a sick soul paired with negative spell implantation in the mind, how do you think that's going to turn out for the majority of these people? I'm tired of it. It makes me sad. It makes me angry. And I needed to express this today. The mental prison people are placed in because of this false doctrine and incorrect indoctrination and incorrect teachings makes me ill. They need energy work. They need soul work. They need someone with spiritual sight to help guide them through the process and the metamorphosis that is required for a being to truly let go of an addiction issue. Thank you.